Hi, everyone. Doc T here with another episode of the Horse Advocate podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Boy, have I had an exciting week. I should have died twice. And it wasn't because I met some bad person or the traffic was bad. In fact, I met a lot of nice people, and the traffic is always bad. I guess people are getting worse at driving. They don't understand the laws of physics, but I digress. Let's just talk about horses. I had two horses at separate barns, separate owners, separate days, and each one of these horses had the potential to really hurt me. Now, a lot of you know that I don't automatically use medication on horses. I've told this a million times that if a horse needs to be medicated, I'm the first person to do it. I'm like right there. I believe in medications to be used correctly at the right time. I don't agree with automatic sedation. In fact, the word sedation alone is a very specific term, but a lot of people say sedating my horse, and that is inappropriate. And I've gone over this a million times, but why not one more time? Sedatives make the horse sleepy, but it does not take away the pain inside the mouth. So the horse, or any place, or virtually any place else in the body, depends on which sedative you're using. But the sedative that's most commonly used here in America does nothing for pain in the oral mucosa, or what's inside the horse's mouth. So the operator, if they're using this one drug alone, the horse will start to head nod and still fight you. So another dose is given. And so now their horse is trying hard to stand up, is still fighting you. And then a third dose is given, and finally the horse can't stand up anymore, falls down, and the horse still has pain and nothing gets accomplished. That's inappropriate use of medications, even by licensed individuals, because maybe nobody's told this person that the proper use is to define what is wrong, why the horse is fighting you, and to administer the correct medications. And you stand a better chance of surviving if the appropriate drug is used. So for dentistry, we want to use a sedative that has potent pain killing inside the horse's mouth. And right now, the only drug that does that, covers both, is xylazine. That's the chemical name. And then you want to approach the pain on a different level you want to get away from the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, although that can work too. You could add that. But the opiates really help. So I use butorphanol, which is great for killing pain, in combination with xylazine. But then you also have the horse that's worried. In other words, the horse has a past experience, or you want to make this a good experience, or the horse has a zero tolerance for pain. I mean, just any kind of pain, the horse comes unglued. You want to dissociate what's inside the brain from the motor cortex, which causes the horse to move. So you want a dissociative type thing, and anti-anxiety. And I use midazolam now. Midazolam seems to work really well in horses and keeps them saying, oh, this isn't so bad. And that allows me to take away the pain-causing problem, so they can start putting two and two together and say, okay, this monkey-like creature who's shoving this hard thing in my mouth with the steel on the end of it, rasping away my sharp edges that are digging into my cheek or into my tongue, that's causing so much pain. This feels kind of good. So I count on removing pain as the number one benefit of what I do. And if I need to move to medications, I will. But let's talk about these two horses. The first was a 6-year-old horse that the owner said to me, be careful of his front feet. He likes to strike. And I'm like, okay. I mean, yearlings and 2-year-olds, they like to strike. They're just kids. They don't know any different. They kind of slap at you. It's no big deal. But when you get a horse that's older, they know how to target those things so they can actually hurt you. And so, yeah, it puts me on high alert because I'm working in front of them. But I also know that the horse needs to connect with me honestly and transparently. And I've talked about this a lot in the past. Okay, I wanted to go over something that I've discussed before in a couple of podcasts. I think one was on 3-dimensional communication and then 3-dimensional communication part 2. So if you want to go back and learn about this a little bit, that's fine. But I wanted to draw basically a circle. And this is going to be the brain. And I want to divide it into 4 quadrants. And it doesn't matter how you're looking at the horse. We're just going to label it this way. This is going to be the right brain, right side, and this is going to be the left side. Okay. So every brain, at least in humans, and I'm making the assumption that the horse brain isn't much different than the human brain. There are differences, and we all know anatomically there are differences. There are, we humans have this huge prefrontal cortex where we can do all this analytical thinking. But horses, from my experience of, 51 years with them, they also have analytical, and that's the left side. So I'm going to write analytical. I'm going to try to write analytical. And this is where time occurs. And time is in terms of order, how things go. Like when your horse goes out and does a course, it knows the order it's going to go. Yes, you sometimes give him clues to help him along, but he knows he has to jump that fence, and then he has to make a turn, then he has to jump that fence, and then that fence. And it's an ordered structure. For you, to put on your pants before you put on your shoes. There's order in this. And a lot analytical helps us with language, with all communication, our ability to listen, everything, just everything that you and I know that we would put into a book of our experiences all occurs in this left analytical side. And then this is the left limbic system. And left limbic system are the emotions. And just to be clear, these are all the negative emotions. And what I mean by negative is doubt, fear, worry, anxiety, depression. I don't feel confident. I don't feel worthy. I feel inferior. I'm not strong. I feel I need somebody to help me. I'm so insecure. And that word insecure is a big thing, because the horse I was dealing with was so insecure. Both of these horses that I'm telling you about. And these insecure horses need a leader. They need leadership. And the funny thing, maybe if I learned how to spell, how about that? Is that better? Leadership. Spelling is someplace in my brain, but I just don't know where it is. So leadership. And when a horse needs leadership, it will possibly look at you, and if you don't have leadership skills, if you're insecure, they will take over the leadership position. And usually these insecure horses are not good leaders. You see this in humans all the time. The insecure person goes out there and they become bullies. They become dominant. They will reach out physically to get that superiority position. We see this all the time. This is where all the problems lie here in our human world, in our connections with horses. We tend to take our insecurities and we bring them to an insecure horse, and we have a disaster. Now, this owner of the horse isn't insecure. The owner of the horse actually was a pretty secure person, but didn't know how to apply her leadership, or she didn't have enough confidence in her leadership to overcome the problem that was occurring in this horse's insecure approach to life. So here comes a man. Yes, I'm a male. Yes, I'm a veterinarian. Yes, I have these metal instruments that looked at like they could be clubs to beat the horse. I have all these things that are not helping, that are coming into the stall, stranger danger. And the horse is looking at me saying, oh my gosh, how am I going to get out of this one? I'm scared to death. Maybe they've had a past exposure where a human has beat them, or a man has injected them, or the list is so long. All the possibilities. And all of that is riding here in the left limbic system where the emotions are. And that is going, whoop. That's an arrow. I'm a great drawer. To the motor cortex. And in the motor cortex, that basically means fight or flight. I'm out of here. It's in the sympathetic system, fight or flight. I'm going to either fight you or I'm going to run from you. I'm going to do whatever it takes to save my life. That's what horses do. And when you sedate a horse, it doesn't stop this. If you medicate properly, you can overcome this part right here. Whoops, red, there we go. You can overcome that there with midazolam. And you can also come in here and affect the left limbic system with medications. And that kind of calms this whole thing. So the horse has time to experience the good things. So let's bring this in green. We're going to have the right thinking. We call it the right thinking. Now, this is going to sound a little bit, maybe you're not comfortable talking about it. But the right thinking connects you with the universe. So the right thinking, if that's all you have, you don't know where your body ends and where the rest of the world begins. You lose sense of where your fingertips are. Proprioception is out the window. That's all over in the left thinking side, the analytical side. That's where we say, okay, that's where my fingertips end. That's where the world begins. I'm a human being. That over there is a plant. That's a butterfly. You know, it's all of that in the left thinking brain. But in the right thinking brain, that's where we're all connected. Not just the butterfly and the plant, but all the microbes that are inside of you, all the cells are constantly talking to each other. That's all happening the right side of the brain. That's really the cool place. All right. And it's hard to get there. There are monks who spend their life trying to get into that right thinking side through meditation. There are some of you listening to this that you don't know it, But when you walk into the barn where it's quiet, there's nobody there, you don't have an agenda, you're not there to ride or groom or feed, or maybe you've already fed and you're just sitting there and you're thinking and you're hearing the oats or the hay being crunched, you're hearing the breathing of the horses, they're all relaxed, and you're at one with peace, with the universe, with the horses, with everything. You don't feel cold, you don't feel hot. Yeah, the flies are still bothering you, but other than that, you're at peace. That's your right thinking brain. And that's a great place to be. And this is why I think we go to the barn, to get into a right thinking brain. And then you have the right limbic. So you have the right limbic. And that has the positive emotions. Okay. And this basically is gratitude. Gratitude. It's really the thankfulness. I'm grateful. This is where a lot of people spend time if they pray. If they honestly pray and get over in the right limbic system and say, thank you for fill in the blank. Or you're sending your best thoughts to somebody who's in trouble. You're getting over in the right limbic system and you're letting go. You're absolutely believing that you're sending your best thoughts out to whoever you're supposed to be sending them out to. You're not saying, yeah, I'd like to be grateful for that person, but he's such a jerk. You're back in the left side. Yeah, I love my horses, but this guy is dangerous. He's trying to fight me. He's trying to be the leader. He's doing all the sorts of stupid things. You're over in the left-hand brain. What's really interesting, and I just want to do one more thing here, is where I'm drawing yellow. This is called the corpus callosum. It's corpus, so R-P-U-S, which means body. And I don't know how to spell callosum, so please, O-S-U-M. That's how I'm spelling it today. If it's wrong, too bad. But this is a two-way street. But in our lives of technology, where we're texting, we're phoning, we're not spending time listening. We are spending time telling people what we want, what we need. I want to be in that lane. Get your car out of the way. I'm moving over. I'm not even going to turn my signal on. I'm just going to cut you off. What you end up doing, and I'm going to put this in black, is you are going this way. %99 of the time. Right? I'll put 99%. And going back this way, 1%. And maybe for you, that 1% is when you go to church on Sunday. Maybe that 1% is that 30 seconds you spend in bed and you say your prayers, or you just have your good thoughts. Maybe it's once a week. Maybe it's when you come home and see your spouse. Maybe it's when you get away from your spouse and you say, thank God I'm away from that person. But there's a 1% of you trying to get back. And I drew these arrows differently, but the 1% is you being the right thinking, getting over to the left side to do something. Because most of us are in the left side of the brain and we're doing all that information. We're just flooding the right side with all our analytical thinking. And guess where the horse lives? The horse is 99% of the time in the right side. There's another way to say this, and maybe this is going to help you understand this. Where, let's do this in green. In the moment. All right? In the moment. And I'll guarantee most of you have trouble getting in the moment, except maybe when you're in the barn and you're at peace. But the horse is always in the moment. Yes, there's past experiences that come from the left side, the left limbic system, that emotion of fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, and they will come and override everything, and they become analytical. My job is to stay in my right thinking brain and my right limbic. And I say to these horses all the time, thank you. I'm grateful for you. You're doing a great job. I knew you could do it. I trust you. You're the best. You're going out of your way to do really well today. I'm so grateful. Thank you. And I sometimes actually say these words out loud. And as I do, the horse moves over into the right side and says, huh, really? And their anxiety, their worry, their doubt and fear start to diminish. And as they diminish, they're willing to give me a little bit of time. A little, it's just like my foot is in the door. They can't close it. They allow me into their room just a little bit. And that is so fascinating because I get so excited when that happens. Because if they're willing to let me in and be with them at their level, and I'm transparent and I'm actually honest with them, and I tell them, I am really grateful and thank you for letting me get my float blade in there and move to that back lower right cheek tooth that I know is sharp and digging into your tongue and it hurts. I'm going to file that down and then I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to let you think. And they come out and now they're in their analytical brain going, that feels better. Wow. And then I say to the horse, all right, that was really good. I'd like to come back in there and do the left side. Would you let me do that? Well, I don't know. I'm still scared. Yeah, I know you're scared. I get it. But I'm here to help. I'm not trying to force you to do this. I'm allowing you to put two and two together. I don't know what the words I say, but it's not just the words I say. It's this whole energy that I have. And people just are amazed. They said, how can you walk in and just do this? And the horse just stands there. It's because I get my energy so low that it doesn't trigger the movement of their brain into the left side, but it stays in the right side. I'm connecting from this being to that being. And the horse says, huh, that's cool. And I go in and get the other side. And at this point, I've just done the two lower bottom cheek teeth, and the horse's head usually comes down. Their neck, which is straight, going up at a 45-degree angle, trying to get away from me, starts to become parallel. And sometimes their head even goes down and they just touch their nose to the ground and just bounce it off the ground. And they're licking their lips because I've taken their pain away. And then I say, great. Now we're going to move to the upper, and all bets are off because now I'm up in the cheek area, which could be really hurting this horse. And almost every horse is sharper on the left side. And in the very last upper cheek teeth, they can have some really sharp edges. And I have to use all sorts of different techniques to get the blade back in there so it doesn't hurt them. But with every step that I take, I'm encouraging the horse to be in the moment and to appreciate what I'm doing. And they don't get that threat from me with my high energy. The secret to working with any horse that doesn't want you to work with them is to work on yourself. The horse does not need any training. The horse needs to know that you're okay. And you can only do that by changing yourself. It's like in any relationship. I mean, you've heard this a million times. You can't change the other person. You can be married to the person for decades. You still can't change that person. The only person you can change is yourself. So you come forward and change yourself. And that really helps the horse relax and understand what you're doing. And that's what I did with this horse. And I moved then up to upper left and upper right and then upper left, and I got those edges done. Then I started working on the first cheek teeth. But then the horse had reached its limit, and it started to say, okay, this is too much. I'm overwhelmed mentally. Now, most horses will just show gratefulness and allow me to finish everything, and everything's just super. But there are a few horses that just say, Doc, I've let you done enough, and you now need to go. Because I'm starting to what I call crescendo. Crescendo is a term that's used in music that means the music grows louder. So you can feel everything building up inside the horse, and you want to start to quiet things down. And that's fine. And I turned to the woman. I said, I think the horse has had enough, and I've done 90–95% of the job. But if I keep pushing it, you see yourself, the horse is going to get worse, and I may have to use the medications to do the final 5%. And she turned to me and she says, you have done amazing. I never could have dreamed this horse would stand for you to do this much. And I'm willing to make it a process to come back at a later date when the pain is gone and we can now work differently. And she says, absolutely, we're done. You've earned everything that you're charging me today, and we'll do it again. And so I'm going to see her in a couple of months, and we're going to do it again and reach a better point. So the horse doesn't have a bad experience to stay in the left limbic system to say, that guy and this procedure and that pain, and I'm out of here. And he'll start to move forward to, that wasn't so bad. So that leads me to the second horse that I did. And this horse I've done several times. And about 4 times ago, we decided 2 things. One, he has 0 tolerance for vibration. The vibration of the float on the teeth is more than this horse can handle and needs to be medicated. So 3 times ago, I medicated him, and he was such a lightweight. I mean, he was like, can we keep him standing up? And I even actually gave him a low dose. And yet we noted in the record, maybe less next time, but I could float the horse easy. I mean, pain was gone. It's wonderful. And then the next time, which is, and then we increased the frequency. So we had gone to 4 months, and I came back and I gave a lighter dose of medication, three separate medications in him, IV. And he stood beautifully, and I was able to get everything done. It's just wonderful. Then this past week, I went in and gave him the same dose I gave him the first time, but things were different. He had just come in from the paddock. He had not been fed. There's things going on in the barn. And I tried my darndest to get these teeth done. And he clenched his teeth, was unwilling to open, fought me, and almost came unglued. I mean, he was ready to do whatever it took to stop me from floating the teeth. And that was tough. But I said to the owner, I said, this horse has escalated so fast that giving him extra drugs, which would be the knee-jerk reaction, probably won't help him. He has set his mind to stay in the left limbic system and to stay in the fight or flight mode. And the only way I think I can get through that is to allow the horse to relax myself, to make sure everything becomes more relaxed, and I work slowly at the things that I can do, so we make sure that the pain from the sharp teeth, which he did have at 5 months, were smooth, and so he could feel the difference. When I say he was sensitive to vibrations, he's also sensitive to any sharp edges going into the cheek or tongue. I mean, he just has 0 tolerance for pain. By the way, stick a needle in him still is okay. Thank goodness. And so I had to move, do one thing, then come out and take a long time and then do another thing. But each time when I stopped, I thanked him. I told him he's doing great. I had complete faith in him. I knew he could do it. I'm going to go back here and do a little bit more. And as I worked through it, he gradually opened his mouth and let me do more and more and more. But he reached that point where he said, Doc, I've given you enough time. You've done enough. You need to leave. And in this particular horse, because I'd done him so many times, the other horse I'd never done before and needed a lot of work. This one, I said, okay, you just rest for a second. I talked to the owner. I can't wait too long because these drugs don't last long in the horse, but I was able to come back and just say, okay, let me feel what I got. Okay, I've got to get this done. Come on, you can do this. And I gave him words of encouragement to say, yes, I know you're going through this, but I know you can do it. Let's work together. And the horse did. And we often forget that horses, like humans, need more encouragement than they need force. And we've all seen people, maybe you're one of them, who needs to reprimand. And there's a time and place for this. If a horse does something egregious, if the horse strikes out or does something that breaks the rules, reprimands occur. They don't have to be vicious. They're no different than a mother or a mare, but you have to let the horse know in no uncertain terms that what they just did was bad. And so discipline is important, but most people don't know how to discipline. Most people use the emotion of anger or fear or frustration to discipline, and that'll never work. I mean, yes, it might work, but it's the wrong approach. The better approach for discipline is to look the horse straight in the eye and say, that was wrong. You're not allowed to do that. In how you do this is irrelevant, but where it comes from is important. It must come from a sincere desire to do better with this horse, to improve your communication with the horse, to let this horse know that what they just did was wrong. But, it could be because I did something that provoked it. So I'm willing to do something different. My approach might be different. Let's see if we can work this problem out together. That's good discipline, because that's what leadership is. Leadership is showing the person you're leading or the horse you're leading that, okay, I see that something provoked that. And you can't do that anymore. You can't reach out and strike me. You can't throw me into the wall. That's wrong. And you sometimes have to be strong, but you have to be fair and say, okay, now I'm going to do a different approach, but I need something from you. I need you to stand still. I need you to be a better horse. And I know you've got it in you. Let's work together to get this done. And with almost every horse I do, they are willing to give you a couple of seconds, maybe half a minute, and then get the heck out of there and reward the horse for that good behavior. We often forget we're quick to punish, but we're so slow, if ever, to reward good behavior. So as a good horseman or parent, you have to provide the rules and boundaries in clear ways that the horse understands. But it has to be fair, has to come from the good spot of your heart. You can't come out of frustration or anger or show offness, trying to show other people around you how tough you are, how loud you can speak. Sometimes I'll go, hey, and I'll go right to the horses and I'll stick my finger in the chest and say, you knock it off. The horse, whoa, nobody's ever done that. I said, that's wrong. Don't do that again. And then I'm done. And the horse has gotten the message. And then I say to them, okay, you still have a sharp point back there. We need to do this, or we need to get the wrap on, or we need to do this procedure or whatever. and we have to get this done, and I need your help. So I'm going to help by doing something a little bit different approach. I'm going to go after this problem that's a problem for you. And I might squeeze the nose just like a mother would squeeze the baby to give a little bit more confidence and control. That's not the right word. Confidence. You know how a mother just would hold your hand a little bit tighter to let you know that I'm there for you? I'll do that. And the horse freezes. And then I say to them, okay, I'm going to go back with the float plate, and I'm going to go a different way, and I'm going to go in there, and this shouldn't hurt. And just because a horse can't speak doesn't mean they don't understand what you're saying. And that's really important to remember. I'll go in there and I'll take care of that spot. And that's what I did with the second horse that was fighting through the drugs. I said, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Let's do this way. And I kept doing all these different ways to get the same job done. And the horse relaxed and allowed me to get the job done. And then I said to the woman, the owner, I said, we have had enough. And she says, this is absolutely great. This is so good. I was so cool to see the horse respond to what you're doing. And we just made an appointment for 5 months, and we're going to come a little bit later in the day. So when the horse comes in, he has a chance to settle down, make sure all the horses are fed, and he'll be at peace in his stall, and maybe everything will work a little bit better. So the whole part of this whole podcast is just how, if you want to work with horses, the best way is to stand in front of a mirror and look at yourself and improve who you are, improve your leadership skills. Read every book there is out there on leadership. Know what leadership is, because every horse out there wants to have a leader. Remember, they live in a hierarchy of horses. They have the alpha and goes down to the omega. It's the bottom horse is like always gets beat up on. But even the bottom horse will turn on you if you're unfair, if that horse thinks that it can get away with something. And every horse knows its position, and you, the owner, are part of that hierarchy. If you even have one horse, the horse will say, are you the boss or am I? And the boss, again, I don't mean the boss without heavy hand, the whip, the loud voice, and all that stuff. The leader is the one who knows how to control their energy, knows well the rules and the boundaries and the definition of what fair is, and takes that to the barn and helps that horse understand that together we are going to get something done, that it won't be a fight. And if you have a dozen horses, the same thing applies. You have to be fair. You have to be balanced. You have to be objective. You have to be in the right part of your brain, connected with all that's around. Connect with the horse, connect with the person that's outside the barn, the trucks that are going by on the highway, the airplane that's going over the top, the buzzing of the flies. You have to be connected with everything that the horse is connected with. And then you have to be in the right limbic system of gratefulness, and the horse will respond. And yes, there's no doubt there are some horses I call felons. And no matter what you do, they will try to kill you. We've all seen them. If you've been around horses long enough, you know that. But they're not that many. They're few and far between. In my illustrious career, I've met maybe 3 that there's nothing I can do to get to that horse. There's no medications that even work on the horses. They are there to fight you every step of the way. And that's not my job. I'm not here as a trainer. I'm here as someone who has to do something in a short period of time. And I'm trying to do it without having to medicate the horse, which I know messes up the whole microbiome. But if I do medicate the horse, I'm going to medicate the horse in a way that makes sense. So that's my little ditty on horsemanship in a nutshell. And some of you guys, if you ever sit and watch me work with a horse that I've never worked with before, that's the secret, if you will. That's how I do it. And you can do it too. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just telling you that if you want to be a really good horse person, maybe you just need to go out and buy a mirror full length and stand in front of it and learn how to control your own energy, and then be fair and read every book there is on leadership. All right. Well, thanks for spending your time with me. If you like this, go ahead and pass it on to some other people, as many people as possible. Please subscribe or like, and you're going to get that at the end of this podcast. But I thought I would just ask you to right now. It makes a difference, and together we can help horses thrive in a human world. Appreciate your time here. Thanks. Doc T out.
Hey everyone, Doc T here. Thank you for listening to my content. Would you do me a huge favor? Would you please subscribe, comment, like, thumbs up, and give a star review? However it's presented to you, I want you to do that. There's two reasons. The first, of course, is to improve this product. This way I know what you like, what you don't like, what I can improve upon, what topics you want me to cover. But more importantly, it's also going to help others find me. And by doing that, you are now engaged in this mission of helping horses thrive in a human world. By you helping, we can reach others. And that I would be so grateful for. And remember, go to thehorsesadvocate.com for updates on this information. Thehorsesadvocate.com. And again, thank you so much for being here. Doc T out.